Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Grove Boys podcast. We
What is
got
going on?
we got most of the usual crew tonight. Morgan unfortunately could not make it, but we got Logan, Tony, and Connor all here. And you'll notice if you look at Connor over there, he's got a nice
Happy as a clam.
Blackhawks Patrick
Ah,
Kane jersey on. And let's talk about that because we got some big news regarding Patrick Kane and the Blackhawks,
what a great
as
day to be a
he has
Chicago fan.
officially signed back with the Blackhawks. He's returning to Chicago.
What a great day, dude. What a great day to be a Chicago fan. This is like the homecoming, man. All right. We signed him, we got him for 2 years, $8 million a year. Everyone's like, oh, that's super expensive. Well, guess what? We don't have anybody. There's nobody out in free agency, and we have all this cap space. Like, we might as well use them. We still have $7.5 million to play with, so we're gonna bring somebody else in. You have to imagine we're gonna bring somebody else in. I don't know who that somebody else is gonna be, but it would sure would be nice to pair Patrick Kane with some kind of winger that maybe he's played with before or has ties to in the past. Maybe DeBrincat wants out of Detroit. I don't think we go after Larkin, but DeBrincat's on the market. He wants to move. Could you guys imagine a line with DeBrincat, Kane, and Bedard? All of a sudden, Chicago looks like a borderline, like a shoe-in team for the playoffs, dude. I'm telling you, they're gonna make a move. They're gonna go get somebody.
That was a good
It's
joke.
gonna be great.
That was
It's
a good
gonna be
joke.
great, man. You know how many especially if he wears 88, dude. Like I'm fired up about. They're gonna sell tickets just because Patrick Kane came back. All right, that's the whole. Whether we're gonna be good or not, we're probably not gonna be great, but we're gonna be way better than the Red Wings, dude. Like. It's just an exciting time to be a Chicago fan. I think part of the reason I'm excited is because we've been irrelevant for so long. And usually this is us losing players. Like Patrick Kane went to the Red Wings 2 years ago from Chicago. Usually I'm just on the other side, like Tony over there
More than 2
drinking a
years
Miller
ago.
Lite. How many years ago was it?
Uh,
You guys only had him
that
for
was
2 years, right?
no, they had him for longer.
Are you sure?
He
Yeah.
was with the Rangers there for a bit, from
Yeah.
what I
I,
can
I
remember.
think the Red Wings
3 years.
had
3
him
years.
for 2 years.
November 2.5. November 23 through July 26. So they basically got him at the beginning of the 23 season, and then had him for 2 and basically 80% of a season. So I would just call it 3. But no,
I'll
yeah,
tell you what, man. What you guys are going through right now with the whole oh, on paper we're a pretty good team, but then we're gonna lose everybody before the season starts. This is the classic Chicago. Okay, I've been in those seats. All right. A couple years ago, we drafted this guy named Artemi Panarin. Ever heard of him? He's like a superstar. I'm pretty sure he's on the Kings now. He's gone. DeBrincat was a Chicago pick. Let's not forget that. We had Patrick Kane. We had really good talent. And everyone just left because Chicago was terrible. But we're on the rebuild. We have a goalie in Spencer Knight that is super, super, super young. Well, super young's a stretch. I think he's 25. He's he's locked down though. He's top tier. He's 25. He was born in 2001. We just got a star defenseman. And this is really the first guy on offense that Bedard can actually look to as a playmaker and rely on. This is it. You know, everybody else he's played with has not been good. Like Frank Nazar has been okay. Um, Bertuzzi's been brutal at times, but he's been okay. And everybody else just can't handle the puck. So yeah, it's exciting in Chicago. He might come with a cane and a stretcher, okay. He might have a little walker out there with his tennis balls, but he'll be able to slow the game down, pass the puck, and score on the power play. That's why I'm excited. That's all we need him to do.
Okay.
I have a few thoughts on it. I'll start off by saying that I love Patrick Kane going to Chicago. I mean, as much as I would have liked to have seen him come back with the Red Wings, we kind of figured that wasn't going to be the case. At some point, we just had to see the writing on the wall. But yeah, I mean, considering the possible candidates that he could have gone to, I'm actually quite happy that he ended up in Chicago. I mean, for me
Well,
personally, it was down to Chicago and Buffalo. Either one would have been a great story. But with him going to Chicago, forget Connor Bedard finally having a playmaker alongside him. He finally has a true mentor,
Yeah.
and
So sad.
we've seen how Connor Bedard has been talking about Patrick Kane in the news regarding all of this, even before the signing became official. Connor Bedard truly wanted Patrick Kane to come back to Chicago. And
well,
honestly, I'm happy for him.
and think of it this way, like for Patrick Kane, like he's kind of had a cool career because like he's had all the success in Chicago and he played there and he won and everything and that's great. And then he left and then he went to play for the Rangers, which while not in his hometown, is still in his home state, right? So like you knew like even with the Rangers, he was going to have fans, Buffalo fans, because I believe he's from Buffalo, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, like even Buffalo fans would be rooting for him because he's from there. And then like he's kind of had a complete career too because like even his time in Detroit with the Red Wings, like he went to high school in Michigan. Like so for him it's like any city or any state that has had a major impact on his life and his career in hockey, he's played there. So I'm super happy for the guy. I hate to see him go. I'm okay with seeing him go because he's 37. He's going to be 38 in this upcoming year. Like we all know he's coming to the end. Um, but like super happy with the time that Detroit had him. One of the coolest moments I ever had in sports was when he went to Chicago in that game with Detroit that went to overtime and he scored that breakaway OT winner. And it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen because the Chicago fans in Chicago gave him a standing ovation after scoring that goal.
I mean,
So
we were like, that was it, dude. That was like our Super Bowl right there. We were rooting for the Red Wings at that point because we're out of the playoffs every year by about Thanksgiving. All right, we're pretty much sellers at every deadline. We start the year off like 5-20, and all the optimism is just gone.
you know, it's
But
it's to compare it to a Detroit athlete right now, it's I think the closest comparison currently would be like to Justin Verlander right now in baseball, right? Like he's come home, he's going to finish out there. Like we all know this 2-year contract, he's got to retire after the 2-year contract is over, right? With all the injuries and how old he's getting, he's got to retire. You know,
yes,
unless some contender says, "Hey, we'll pay you good money to come play like third or fourth line for us," you know, and let's win a Stanley Cup this
right.
year. I can't see him, going anywhere. So I would say like I compare him to hockey right now, what Justin Verlander is to baseball. Like just finish here, finish home. Like Patrick
Right.
Kane will always be a Blackhawk. We can have this conversation on the podcast tonight about like will Verlander go into the Hall of Fame as a uh, Tiger or an Astro? But like I think most people would remember Verlander as a Tiger
Yeah.
primarily, but like I think that's really cool, man. I think that's awesome. I applaud Chicago for giving him that opportunity to come finish there. Um, like Logan said, the only other place that felt right for him to go would have been Buffalo, you know. But yeah, no, I think that's super awesome. I'm super happy for Chicago fans. It's weird because like we're also Logan and I are from a generation of Red Wings fans that like Chicago isn't a rival for us. Like that's not a rivalry.
Then
You
you
know what I
never
mean?
watched the games.
No, but like I
That's
remember, but like
crazy to say, Tony.
it's sorry, no, I should say it this way. It's a rivalry, but I would say in the last 5 to 10 years, it's
Yeah,
not
because
this violent rivalry. It's more of a friendly rivalry. It's that we're the closest cities to each other,
it's
kind of
because
thing.
they changed the divisions.
Hmm.
People forget Chicago and Detroit used to be in the same division. So like in order in the playoffs,
Well,
they would always meet. Always.
well, it used to be conferences.
Same conference. They'd always meet in the playoffs, and it would be like they had all this bad blood because everybody would get traded from Detroit to Chicago. Like Marion Hossa was really the first one, right? And it was like Hossa was a Red Wing, and everyone fell in love with the guy, and then he left to go win in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Yeah.
oh man, I don't know. But ever since they're in different
Mm.
conferences, it's kind of like
Well,
yeah,
they're in
that's
the
cool.
same.
We'll see it twice a year.
Well, they've always been in the same conference, right? They were in the Western before the realignment. Now they're both in the Eastern. Um, but the thing is it's for so long it was them two. Like, I mean, back when our parents were like, even before like our parents' time, even right, like it was Chicago and Detroit every year in the Western Conference Final before they both got moved to the East when the league got realigned. Um, Dude, in my lifetime, honestly, because like I remember watching it, I hate Pittsburgh more than anybody because I remember 2009 and Pittsburgh beating
Yeah.
Detroit in the finals in
De-
'09.
Detroit's in the East, by the way. Chicago's in the West.
Is Chicago in the West? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Are they?
So the
Okay.
only time
So
they ever
they
meet
used
is
to,
in
they
the
used
final.
to be they both used to be in the West and they both used to
Correct.
dominate the West. And then okay, yeah. So sorry, I got that wrong. Um, but yeah, dude, like for me, it's like it's in my lifetime, it's Pittsburgh. I hate Pittsburgh the most. Um, and then beyond that, like Colorado, because you had that iconic rivalry in the late '90s and early 2000s between the Avalanche and the Red Wings. But beyond that, like the Blackhawks, I understand it's a rivalry, but that's not like a rivalry where I shit on the other team the whole time. Like I don't hate Chicago, like I hate Pittsburgh and Colorado. Does that make sense? Like it's a cool
Yeah.
rivalry. There's so much history there, and like how that rivalry has evolved. But by the way, only Red Wings game I've ever been to was Red Wings playing against Chicago.
How'd that
when
go?
I was when I was 10, ended up in a tie after a shootout.
I'm going to
Fight right in
game.
front of me. It was crazy. I was so disappointed. Nicholas Lidstrom, my favorite Red Wing of all time, who was like also iconic for being one of the best offensive defensemen ever, got a breakaway, and almost scored a goal in overtime to win the game. Yeah, it was awesome. Got to meet Ted Lindsay that day too, which was really cool. At 10 years old, I didn't know who the hell Ted Lindsay was, and then I learned what the production line was. And I
People
was like,
just said you were
"Oh,
cool. Yeah.
yeah." My mom was like, "You need to go talk to that guy." She's like, "You need to introduce yourself." And he was so cool. He was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" Yeah. But no, dude, and I'm super glad for Chicago fans. This is awesome for Chicago fans. It's awesome for Patrick Kane.
I'm
He
going to
gets a
enjoy
2-year
it.
farewell tour. He gets a 2-year
I'm going to
farewell
enjoy
tour.
it
Like,
because
yeah.
I have one side of the coin feels like, okay, we can make a push as an entry level, like a last seed playoff team. We were 7 games below 500 last year with a terrible team, and Connor Bedard was injured for half the season. So like we could probably make a push this year. But on the other side of the coin, this could go terribly wrong. Patrick King could get injured. He's gonna have to play on the first line. He's gonna have to be that guy again. And he could get, just absolutely obliterated by everybody else. And
I
the first month, Connor Bedard is not going to be playing, so he's just going to be on the bench. So
well, I
there's also
hope
that.
I hope what happened to Verlander in Detroit this year does not happen to Patrick Kane.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
The wheels
where he's plagued
could
by
fall off.
injury. Yeah. But yeah, no, dude, that's awesome. Speaking of hockey, I'm gonna make this prediction. Okay, so can we say on air we made that bet on the Red Wings making the playoffs last year or next year?
Yeah.
Is that bet still alive or no? Because like, what the hell? Like now they're going into full rebuild mode after Steve Yzerman stepping down.
I tried to tell you that, but you were like 4 beers deep.
Okay.
On the
Okay.
podcast.
All right.
No, dude. No,
Well,
it's
no.
still
Because
a thing.
here's the thing. I think Detroit is either they're not going to be the same, they're either going to be worse, or they're going to be better. They're either going to be worse because they're going into full rebuild mode again, or they're going to be better because the change of like GM and new culture is
What's the
going to
other
help the
option?
team.
You're right. They're going to get better or worse.
No, but what I'm saying is they're not going to be in the same spot that they've been the last 3 years. Because they've been in the same spot the last 3 years. They're either going to be worse than they've been the last 3 years or better. But
I don't think
can
you guys
see
are going to
either
get
happening.
better, man. I really don't.
That's perfectly reasonable. That's reasonable.
You guys lost too many pieces. Okay, who's your goalie? John Gibson, I guess. I mean, he's still here, but like he didn't play phenomenal last year. Cam Talbot's gonna be a free agent. I'm almost positive. You just traded away Kosa. I have no idea who your goalies are.
Daniil Tarasov.
All right,
John
the
Gibson.
savior. Ah.
No, but I'm just saying that's who the goalie is.
No idea who that is.
I
don't know.
The problem is
love my part-time job is shitting on the Red Wings. So like I love it. I love talking to Red Wings fans who are like, yeah, we're not that bad if you look at the roster. We're okay. Like, no, dude, you guys are just brutal. And so is Chicago. Okay, we're just really not that good of a team. But Patrick Kane coming home, dude, what the hell? Like he's gonna get like he's gotta get like He's gonna be great. I gotta believe he's gonna be great. He's gonna get that adrenaline pump from being back in Chicago. There's no way he does.
For sure.
I
Okay.
don't know, man. Okay. If I can weigh in for a second.
I'll be right
Please
back.
do.
Because we were talking about this before we started recording. I have a contradictory opinion to Connor regarding Patrick Kane in terms of meaningful contribution to Chicago.
Correct.
I just don't think he didn't overly impress me during his time with the Red Wings. He was good, but never anything better than that. His biggest contribution to Chicago once he returns there is going to be indirect in the sense that it's going to be primarily mentorship and leadership and how he talks to the guys, locker room presence, all that sort of stuff. What he does on the ice is not going to contribute much to Chicago's success. It's not going to make them a fringe playoff team, in my opinion.
Wow.
I think it's going to help them, but not enough.
That's fair. That's totally fair. But if you stack Patrick Kane with I'm blanking on the guy's name, Byron Bowen. I think that's the defender's name that we got. If you stack Patrick Kane and you look at where Patrick Kane is really good, you can see that Kyle Davidson, the GM, is building something here. There's a plan, okay? Patrick Kane is very, very good. He was never the speedster. He never burned people on the outside like Connor McDavid. He never did any of that. We don't need him to do that. We have Connor Bedard. The Red Wings never had a Connor Bedard, okay? They had Dylan Larkin. I'm leaving it right there. Connor Bedard is the all-around superstar. Patrick Kane's going to be the number 2 guy that makes plays just like he did in old school Chicago. Now, why was Patrick Kane so good? He slowed the play down. He got the puck to the defenseman, and the defenseman joined the rush, gave it to the superstar, or shot it themselves, and made things happen. The Blackhawks were the worst scoring team in on what am I trying to say? The power play last year. I think it was like 16% of the time they scored on the power play. That is going to change because you're going to have to respect all 5 people on the ice next year.
Hey,
What's
Connor,
up?
I have a question. Should I buy a Red Wings Patrick Kane jersey for $40 on sale since he left?
No.
They're selling his jerseys for $40.
No, you should. I do have a but okay, does that's terrible, Tony, by the way. Is that
What?
like Rally House?
No, that's like shophockeytown.com. Like they're like
Does that make sense, Logan? Like in Detroit, he kind of had to be the guy. He was never the guy who passed the puck to Larkin. Sure, he'd pass it to DeBrincat here and there, and he never had a defenseman to pass it to that was like a playmaker that was going to score. But in Chicago, he had Duncan Keith and Brett Seabrook and all these big guys that could shoot the puck and make things happen
well,
from the defense on the rush. And it's like, okay, if you're talking about Patrick Kane, Connor Bedard, Tyler Bertuzzi, and Byron Boehm on the rush that could all shoot the puck well and be a threat, you got something. You're starting to build in Chicago.
I would say the only defenseman here's my gripe with the coach at the Red Wings. The only defenseman that he had to pass it to that was a scorer, what like that could be a reliable scorer in the moment was Mo Seider. But the problem with the Red Wings is they don't let Mo Seider be the offense. Like they don't let him be an offensive player when he can be. Like they're too focused on turtling up on defense, which I think is why their 5-on-5 sucks. Different conversation, but yeah, it didn't let Patrick Kane.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's why I think Patrick Kane's going to have a better year this year than last year because the Blackhawks have nothing to lose. They play very aggressively and they get burned on it all the time. But if you can minimize that and you can get your aggressive plays in there, and then you have Patrick Kane giving you the puck and feeding it, and then you have Tyler Bertuzzi in front of the net, like you have something here. The problem last year was Bedard would pass it to the defenseman. He would fumble the puck. There'd be two guys in front of the net, and then you have a 2-on-1 the other way. Like, that's just not going to happen this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like what Kyle Davidson is building. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I just don't think they are playoff caliber yet. Give it another, like give it 2 seasons from now.
Okay, that's good. That's good because we locked Bedard down long term. We locked Byron Boehm down long term. I do have a funny story about this jersey though. So I went to a Red Wings Buffalo game this year and sat in the lower bowl. And, you know, during warm-ups, Patrick Kane was skating around, and I was up out of my seat. I was in like row 12, flashing the jersey, right? And multiple times this guy looked right at me and straight up ignored me. Straight up, no reaction, no nothing. And I'm like, wow, what a jerk, right? This year, I'm going again. And I hope to God he remembers me because I've been sitting in like the same seat. If he flashes this, and I hope to God he remembers me.
You can't, if it's in warm-ups, you can't sit in the same seat for Patrick Kane now. You got
I know, I got to sit the opposite. I got to sit the opposite side.
Okay, so fun fact about that jersey. Connor was wearing that jersey the night we went to the bar that, funny enough, we ran into my fiance without knowing who she was that night. Do you guys remember that story? She was there. She has a picture. She has
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
Remember? So, Connor, do you know the story? She had a picture on Hinge. It's her and her friend at Pierce that night. And in the background is like us at Pierce. And they're standing right by us, and we didn't even meet that night, technically. But yeah.
Let me tell you.
Super funny.
Nobody bought me a drink that night.
That jersey's lucky. Oh no, dude! Everyone was pissed. Everyone was so
flipping me off, like spilling beer on my. I loved it. Everyone was pissed. I was telling people I was just a Patrick Kane fan, and nobody was trying to hear it. Dude.
Hold on, let me see because I have the picture in my phone. Let me see. Because it was Jersey night. So for those of you watching, it was Jersey night at the bar next to our college that we would go to every now and then on Thursday nights, which at our college we didn't have Friday classes. Thursday was just a Friday for us. Yeah. You were wearing the Kane jersey. I was wearing my Shohei jersey. Dustin was wearing my Saginaw Spirit jersey, and we forced Shane to wear my Jared Goff jersey because he didn't want to wear it.
I wasn't gonna go. I remember that. I wasn't gonna go, and then
that was a blast.
I was like,
we had so much fun.
Shane, you gotta wear my Blackhawks jersey because I'm not gonna go. And then I must have one too many beers at the dorm, and then I wanted to go.
Okay, moving on from hockey. We've been on hockey for a bit, I think.
Hold on.
Oh, hold on. Okay.
Objection!
Real quick. Before we move too far from hockey,
Okay.
I want to discuss Dylan Larkin a bit more. Because recently, I think just yesterday, maybe 2 days ago now, I don't know, one of the top trade targets in a Dylan Larkin trade scenario, Jason Robertson, just re-signed with the Dallas Stars. So
Thank
that is
God.
another option off the table for a Dylan Larkin trade. So, with that being said, it seems inevitable at this point, in my opinion at least, that Larkin stays with the Red Wings but loses the C and it goes to Cider.
Oh, well, he loses the C no matter what. If he stays with the Red Wings, he loses it no matter what. That guy
Objection.
cannot be captain. Go for it, Connor.
Logan, if you were the next GM and they said, congratulations, I'm going to shake your hand, you are the general manager of the Red Wings. What is your first move? I'll tell you what mine would be. My first move would be getting rid of Larkin for picks. I think the only reason that he's not traded yet is because there's no general manager. And the second the general manager gets in there, he's going to be like, let's blow this whole thing up.
Well,
That's what everybody does.
The news says right now that Steve Yzerman willingly stepped down to try and convince Larkin to stay. Which,
Not going to
if
stay.
true, if true, again, I think goes to my point of Yzerman will do anything for that franchise, even embarrassingly step down from the GM role just to convince a player to stay. So, although, I mean, we can get into the Yzerman thing too. I don't know. I think he should be gone. I don't want him here. You grew up in Michigan. You were a lifelong Red Wings fan. As soon as shit got really, really tough and it was time for you to step up and finally be a captain and maybe start making your own sacrifices and everything for the team, you were like, no, I want out. Screw you. You don't belong in Detroit. I have zero respect for Larkin, and I will never respect him as a player again.
That's the problem. Because it's not just you, it's that entire locker room. And if he stays, it's going to be a locker room cancer. Maybe he'll show up to camp. Maybe he stays the first couple weeks of the year. But the second you guys start losing games, you're going to trade him. It's going to happen. It's inevitable, dude.
Oh, I don't think he should play until he says, you know what? Nope, I'm going to stay with the Red Wings. I'm going to try to do something. If he came to whoever the new GM is, right, when they hire him and the coach and said, okay, whatever, I'll play. I want to stay. They honestly should tell him, you need to make a press conference. Like, you need to go to the media and say yourself, not through sources, not through whatever, say yourself, you know what? I was wrong. I want to stay. There's something here. I want to, And if he doesn't, then okay, you're not playing till we can trade you. And that hurts your trade value, buddy. Like, which means guess what? He's going to have to go to a crap team.
I'll tell you what. If Larkin is there on opening night, I'm going to be at the game. I'm going to buy a ticket. I'm going to wear this jersey. I don't give a rip. I'm wearing this jersey. I'm booing him. I'm starting a boo chant in Detroit first game just because I think it's going to be funny, dude. I think if I started booing Dylan Larkin, everybody would join in.
Well, and here's my thing. As much as the fans of that team have defended him, supported him, and through everything, like as much as he was loved and embraced, I have no respect for him as a player. Loyalty means something. This is why, like in baseball terms, like Logan, you know baseball, I can respect Mike Trout. Mike Trout was loyal to that franchise because he wanted to build something there. Now, difference is, I'll give Steve Yzerman and the rest of Detroit the credit. They tried to build something for Larkin. Like, Yzerman really tried. He didn't succeed, but he tried. Mike Trout, we can have that whole conversation of the Angels really didn't try. They lied to Mike Trout. But
objection.
You don't
Steve
think
Yzerman did next to nothing to help Dylan.
I disagree.
He did next to nothing. I have sat there and defended Steve Yzerman for the first 3 years. You guys don't know this. You didn't know me back then. I defended Yzerman for the first 3 years he was here because he got up to that podium at the trade deadline and said, "We're not there yet. If we get matched up in the playoffs against a team like Boston, we're gonna get blown out. We're gonna be sellers." And he sold and sold and sold and sold and sold. Oh, and here's a defenseman that is going to play 12 games. Here you go. He did not bring in any help besides Patrick Kane for Larkin. That was it. Larkin was left to die for his whole tender here. There's nobody on this team, dude.
I have no respect for Larkin.
That's the problem. That's exactly why I was going to get traded. Logan, what do you think?
History, all that. I have no respect for him.
I mean, the Connor, you got a point. I'm gonna be honest. Yzerman did not bring in hardly anyone, and I mean, as much as I would have
and trades,
as much as I would have liked to have seen him, stick around another year and see what he could do. Unfortunately, the Larkin situation did come up, and it did cause all this fallout. So I don't think Yzerman had really any other option but to step down. But I mean, I like Yzerman.
Dude, he drafted Raymond and Sider. He brought in Alex DeBrincat. He got Patrick Kane.
His draft picks were good. His free agent signings and his trade deadline moves.
Tony, he got up to the podium and said, "This isn't the team that's going to win the Stanley Cup." Do you think Chicago really believes they're going to win a Stanley Cup? No. They're not.
Okay, I will give that's a fair criticism to Yzerman, is I think he thought like, okay, now we have the team push. Like you have to build into it.
Stanley Cup or bust.
I understand.
It wasn't.
I would like to make this note because Logan, I feel like you were supporting like what I was saying real quick. I hope at least in the long run, especially if like the new GM comes in and makes the right moves and turns the team into a good team. I hope people remember how good Steve Yzerman at least did at drafting talent for the Red Wings. I hope people remember that because he has actually drafted great. He's not a businessman though, like a GM needs to be. I will say that he could not deal like guys could. Although, how do you guys feel about Yzerman being like that advisor to Chris Ilitch? Do you think that's a good role for Yzerman?
Do you think that's a good? I don't mind that.
Do you think that's a good role for Yzerman? A guy who knows hockey? Because Chris Ilitch doesn't know hockey. A guy who knows hockey can tell him, like, okay, now is the time to start spending money. Now,
as long as Chris Ilitch takes him seriously.
Yeah.
That's the big question mark in my mind. Is Chris Ilitch going to take Steve Yzerman seriously as an advisor? I think he should. But, I mean, it's Chris Ilitch that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like, remember, like Tampa, the reason Tampa like won those Stanley Cups was because of the talent that was drafted by Steve Yzerman. Now, Tampa didn't have to wheel and deal. Okay, what's your objection? Because I know you're going to say objection.
Objection.
Okay.
Steve Yzerman. Hold on. Keep going. Hold on. I gotta get my points. Hold on.
Connor, all I was going to say was Tampa Bay really succeeded off of the talent that Yzerman drafted. Now he left, and that's when they started winning Stanley Cups. And you can have your what ifs and stuff like that if he stayed. That all those arguments would be perfectly fair, especially looking at the Red Wings now. But those Tampa Bay teams, it was a lot of drafted talent. The issue with Detroit was there was drafted talent, but like he also found himself in a position where he needed to be able to like kind of wheel and deal for players. And he proved he just didn't have that ability. And I will say that, and like I won't argue that. Do you think those two situations are different a little bit or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just arguing. I don't.
He came into a position where just drafting wasn't going to be the solution. Because it was like the lowest point like almost any franchise had ever seen themselves when he
When
came in.
Steve Yzerman drafted the Tampa Bay Lightning, he was surrounded by assistant coaches and head coaches that were very, very, very good and knowledgeable. Where are they now? Do you guys know?
Couldn't tell you.
Enlighten me.
When Steve Yzerman was on the coaching staff, here's who he was surrounded by when he drafted Kucherov, Stamkos, and who's the goalie? Vasilevsky. The head coach of Tampa Bay right now, the head coach of Vegas right now, the head coach of the Avalanche was on that coaching staff, and the GM for the Avalanche.
Okay.
So, like, if you're looking at it, you're like, hey, okay, well, the Avalanche just kicked some ass. They drafted Cale Makar the other year. Vegas is in the conversation to win every single year. How much of this, I would beg the question, how much of Tampa's success was actually Yzerman? He got all the credit for it, of course, especially in the Red Wings' mind. But if you look at it and you really break it out, like, there was more hands in that pot than you want to admit. You know,
100%. But the final decision laid with Yzerman, so he does deserve the credit because the final decision laid with him. But Tampa Bay was in a position where drafting good talent was going to take that team further than what it was going to take him when he came into Detroit, which I feel like is a fair statement to make. Have you guys seen the candidates, like the leading candidates for Red Wings GM?
Chris Draper.
Chris Draper is one of them. Now, the thing I would like about Draper is he has been the guy leading scouting, which again they don't need the scouting. But like Chris Draper is like there's two iconic Red Wings players that are leaders right now, and they're Chris Draper, and the other is Brendan Shanahan. Apparently, Brendan Shanahan is interested in the GM role, which would be a step down.
You don't get it. You don't get it.
What?
Yzerman has lost the locker room. Draper has lost the locker room. Illich, the whole thing is
what did
lost.
Draper have to do with the locker room?
Nobody believes.
He was the director of amateur scouting.
Nobody believes in Yzerman, right? So let's go hire his best friend. That'll work.
Chris Draper was involved in the org. Chris Draper was in the org before Yzerman came in.
Tony, if you were on the Red Wings right now and your dickhead friend was running the team and he hired his dickhead, how would you feel about it?
Okay, that's not
Come on, man.
That's not.
No, you need an outside guy. I'm adamant about this.
Okay,
you
what about Brendan Shanahan then?
The locker room. No, dude, he has too many ties to the Red Wings. Yzerman needs to be fired. You need Yzerman. You need Yzerman out of the organization. Okay,
no, you don't.
Yzerman is still making GM moves until the next GM is hired. He publicly said that. Nothing has changed.
Well, yeah, because who else is going to do it, Connor?
Nothing has changed.
Well, because who else is going to do it while they're looking for a
I
new
don't
GM?
know.
Nobody.
The beef I have, dude. If you think, oh man, I'm a player person. Okay, I'm a player first, right? That's why I like what Kyle Davidson is doing. He doesn't give a rip about winning right now. All he cares about is development for the young players. Are we going to win a Stanley Cup with Patrick Kane? No. Does it make him happy? Yes. That is what the Red Wings lack. Nobody on that team is happy. They start losing. They start getting down on themselves, especially Dylan Larkin because he's a soft. I won't go there.
Larkin's not happy because he's a pussy. Larkin's not happy because he's a bitch.
I was going to say that.
Larkin's not happy. Larkin's not happy. DeBrincat's not happy. Okay. Sure, those are your two best players, but your young guys that are on that team, I guarantee you they're itching to be the faces of that team. Seider is itching for that C on his chest come the next season. And I don't think the new GM or new coach is going to matter. I think it's going to be, are they given the opportunity? They just need the guy that's going to give them the opportunity.
You're losing the plot.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
You need an outside guy, dude. I promise you need an outside guy. If they don't hire an outside guy, you're stuck. What really needs to happen with the Red Wings right now, you just lost a top 6 forward. You need to blow it up. You need to get Larkin off your books. He is a cancer to the locker room. You don't want to keep him. He's only going to cause problems.
See,
You gotta trade him
logic.
away.
Here's my logic. If he's not willing to be traded anywhere, then you don't
Then you're
trade
just
him.
cooked. You might as well
then you
just
don't.
wrap it up, dude.
Then you don't trade him. You eat it, and guess what? You don't trade him because this is a message to the team. You don't trade him, and you don't even make him suit up. You're not allowed in the locker room. You're not allowed in the fucking arena
But here's the problem.
until you allow us to trade you anywhere. Because this is crazy. They gave you a long-term keys of the kingdom type contract, and now you want to be gone. You're like, but only to this handful of teams. Nope. You go anywhere or you go nowhere.
But you're paying him, Tony. And you're wasting Mo Sider's prime. You're wasting another year for Lucas Raymond. You're wasting another year for Finney and all of these people that need development and need these playoff reps. Connor Bedard hasn't been to the playoffs. Nobody on the Chicago team has been to the playoffs. If they can get in and they get killed, so be it. We have prospects in the pipeline that are coming up in Chicago. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about experience. You guys,
But you can't
none
trade
of
Larkin
them
for
have
nothing.
been to the playoffs.
You can't
What'd you
trade
say?
him for nothing. You can't trade Larkin for nothing though.
You got to give prospects.
You can't
though.
you can't use him to be oh, you're the best player on the market and hand him to a contender that he wants to go to and basically give him a Stanley Cup for nothing. That's
you got
the
to
thing.
you got to get draft picks.
And it's a crappy position for the Red Wings to be in. Sure. And they got to trade him to a Western Conference team because that's a long-term contract. You don't want him in the Eastern. You got to trade him to the West.
You got to get prospects, dude. The 2 picks that I saw were for players that are like Larkin. It'd be like a 1-for-1 trade and nobody would win. It would just be to shake it up. Like Matthew Boldy, forget it. You're not getting Matthew Boldy for Dylan Larkin. Those are 2 different caliber players. You're gonna have to take a second round pick, a second and a third, some prospect and a second. You're gonna have to take them, and it might just be addition by subtraction. And then all these young guys get a chance that are itching, and they're like, "Yeah, let's freaking do it." And then you have a year like Chicago where they all freaking suck, but guess what? They get experience and they get better. That's just what has to happen.
I understand he can't be on the roster this year because the likelihood of them making the playoffs is 0. It's not like it's been the last couple of years where it's been more likely than not because of the talent on the roster.
He's gonna be the longest yard
now,
when nobody blocks for him, and he just gets abused the whole year.
Oh yeah, no. If Larkin's playing, his teammates are not going to protect him.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, here's the crazy thing. Is that crazy to say that if Larkin's on the team, it can go one of 2 ways. He can be a locker room cancer, or he can be a guy that the rest of the team goes no, fuck you. We want to turn this into something. You want to leave. Because that's a possibility too. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to happen. I'm not even saying it's more likely to happen. But that's something that could happen.
This is just going to be a hockey episode, and I love it. I love it. Logan, what are your thoughts?
We've been on hockey forever.
Well, if I could go back to the GM conversation for a second.
Yes.
We got to interrupt.
Connor made a good point.
Okay.
He also made a pretty shitty point, which I'll get to in a second. But he had a good point to start off.
So, I'm gonna grab a beer before you get into this. Just keep.
Great.
Yeah. No, you're good. So, if you bring in a guy as your GM who is already tied to the not just the organization, has ties to Yzerman, a guy like Chris Draper, a guy like Brendan Shanahan, who's to say that Yzerman doesn't still make GM moves then? Now, Connor, if I could go back to your point about Yzerman still making GM moves right now, shitty point. I'm gonna lay it flat out for you because, of course, like Tony was saying, who else is gonna make those moves right now? But the main point being, I feel like it's at least worth looking into to bring in someone from outside of Yzerman's circle. Because if you bring in a guy as GM who has close ties to Yzerman, whoever it is probably just gonna let Yzerman have his way.
Gonna be a
Okay,
clone of Yzerman.
I totally understand. That would be my argument against Chris Draper. I will say I did bring up Brendan Shanahan. He's not in Yzerman's circle, but he was a Red Wing guy who won cups with them during that like late 90s, early 2000s. So he's a guy who has ties to the organization without being directly connected currently in work to the guys running the team. So he's separated from that. But yeah,
I think I might strangle you through the Zoom call, dude.
sure.
keep going.
What do you mean? He's been with Toronto. He's been working for Toronto.
Fuck it, dude. Ship Yzerman to Toronto. Get on the phone and be like, remember what I said 2 years ago? I said when the Red Wings had the goalie problem, I said 1-for-1, Hellenbuck for Yzerman. Take him back. Like, ship him off to Winnipeg, dude. You guys would be better off. Can you trade a GM for a player? I would. I don't think that's ever been done before. Oh my god.
So Tony, wait, you were saying Shanahan has been with Toronto?
I believe he's been with Toronto, right? He's the guy who kind of built that Toronto roster, which I think we could say that Toronto roster, a lot of talent, but like they just are choke artists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe he's been with Toronto. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh man.
But he's from that tough guy era of the Red Wings that might help at least give some personality to the team, and he's more outspoken than Yzerman. I think one of the things that hurt Yzerman was like how quiet and how introverted of a guy he was. Like he wasn't a talker. Like that's my only argument with Chris Draper. If you're going to do an internal hire, is Chris Draper was on the the grind line, which was known for just being loud, boisterous, physical, tough, which could be a good personality change. I'm not saying that's the guy they got to hire, but if you're going to pick any internal hire, Chris Draper's maybe the guy to go with. That was just my argument earlier. I was not saying they have to take him, but there is a difference that is something to look at with some of these guys.
Gotcha.
I think you got to get rid of Larkin. And if you don't get rid of Larkin, you have to get rid of Yzerman. One or the other, man. And it's like maybe you get rid of Yzerman, okay, altogether, and you just give him the boot, ship him for nothing on a castaway ship in the Pacific Ocean.
The Red Wings will never do that. They will never do that to Yzerman.
I know, but like, just think about it logically, okay? The locker room's gone. Okay, Larkin used to be a good locker room guy. If they got rid of Yzerman, there's a chance Larkin could be like, hey, like, let's get out here and win. Like, that guy's gone. I didn't like that guy. Let's build something here. And then there'd be no ill will about anything. But as long as Larkin and Yzerman are in the same building, like, I guarantee you right now, like for summer skates and stuff, I don't think Larkin has said a word to Illich or Yzerman. Not a single word. He probably didn't even like go in the same room. And if he's in the same room with it, it's just dead silent, awkward, and a terrible situation. I don't know. It's all sunshine in Chicago, man. All right. I saw an article today that said Chicago has 8 of the top 100 prospects. They're like the leading team in like pipeline prospects, which is great because that's exactly what you need. They're the youngest team in the league. Let's go get a grandpa to mentor everybody. That's why I'm excited, dude. Whether we make the playoffs or not, Patrick Kane's going to be great for the city of Chicago. It's going to be great for hockey in Chicago. It's going to be a good destination for people to go to, and the team's going to be better.
How about this? Interesting thing. The top 2 on that list of top 100 prospects for teams are the Red Wings in Chicago. So we'll see what a new coach can bring in with all the prospects and everything. That's cool. That's fun. It might be fun for the rivalry being in the 2 different conferences and, but yeah.
I'll tell you what, if Chicago makes a playoff game, I'm going, dude. I've never been to the United Center. I've always wanted to go. I've just never made it out there. So if they make the playoffs, I will be in that building. I'll probably be drunk off $16 beers, but I'll be there.
If I could interject
shoot.
for a second, I do feel like we are talking the hockey conversation in circles at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah, we really are.
So,
Okay.
if we respectfully,
Got it.
if we could move on, unless
Respectfully.
Shut the hell up.
Objection.
All right.
I hate to do this to you guys, but I do have to get out of here at 9:15 today. I was going to tell you that, and then I got fired up about hockey.
Oh, yeah. Right when I'm going to talk baseball, he's like, I got to go soon.
Talk baseball, dude. Do it right now.
This guy. Okay, should the Tigers be buyers or sellers at the deadline? The deadline is on the 3rd.
Both? That's
Both?
even possible? Because, like, you trade Skubal. I feel like you have to trade Skubal at this point.
Yes.
Well, like, you're not exactly... Like, even if you trade Skubal, you can't exactly call that situation selling at that point. Because it's not like they're trying to, like, rebuild or something like that. It's just... We've gotten to a point, I think, where we don't necessarily need Skubal, and Skubal doesn't necessarily need the Tigers. Tigers have Troy Melton. Tigers have Casey Mize.
Teams never need players, and players never need teams. So, but what I would say is the fans want to keep Skubal, and Skubal wants to stay. This is your one chance to show him before he becomes a free agent. Do you really want to keep him? Do you want him around? You have to keep him, or you have to get a hell of a deal for him. Like when they almost traded Skubal for Bryce Harper earlier this year and some other players, like that was like, okay, like I can see that. Like you have to get a hell of a haul for Skubal or nothing. Like you keep him or you get like an insane boost to the team. But I really think this Tigers team is actually good enough to win the World Series.
If we can get 2 decent bats for Skubal, I think it's worth it.
Not even decent. You need a great bat and a good bat. By the way,
the question is, can we get that return for Skubal?
Here's the problem. I'm getting back to the hockey talk. Not the Red Wings. The Tigers. The Tigers, what they need most is a right-handed bat. And ideally, an outfielder. There is not much, realistically, on the market that fits that criteria that would match Skubal's value. Like, I think the closest guy possible would be, like, Byron Buxton or maybe James Wood. The problem with Byron Buxton is that he's in the same division.
The cat's knocked something over. I had to pick it up.
The problem with James Wood is that he's, I feel like, almost becoming the face of the Nationals franchise right now. And he's still a pretty young guy. He's got a while. So, and the Nationals aren't going to be sellers, I don't think. They're too in the running.
Yeah.
When Philly was bad, Philly was willing to literally trade Bryce Harper, which would have been good. But yeah.
Well, you're forgetting the Phillies are going to win the World Series. So like,
They're not. If you'd have seen the Phillies this week, you'd be like, nope, there's no way they're winning because they run the bases like a little league team.
okay, you know what? Screw you, pal. Maybe they are a little league team. They're out there having fun.
Having fun losing, like
They're gonna get it together. All right, they're gonna get it together.
no. Here's my thing. If don't trade Skubal, keep him because you're not going to get much for him at this point anyway because he's a rental for any team that takes him. So the Nationals won't trade Wood for Skubal because they're not even going to retain Skubal at the end of the year. Unless like the Tigers give him cash,
Yeah, that
which
is
Chris
true.
Ilitch is not going to do. You
Right.
got to keep him. Like if you're the Tigers right now, you got to realize actually you're 4.5 games away from a playoff spot with the wild card right now. And once playoffs happen in baseball, anything can happen. And I would actually take this Detroit team and its pitching staff over almost any pitching staff in baseball, especially over any pitching staff in the AL. So the Tigers need to commit. You know what I mean? They need to commit. They've revived James Outman a little bit. He doesn't look terrible since he's come to Detroit. You know, who else do you have?
Is he batting like 180?
He's batting 153, but that includes at bats before he came to Detroit. He's been better at Detroit. The big thing at Detroit is it's like some of their guys that are lower in the order now that don't bat great, at least are getting hits in the moments where they need to get hits. So that's the big thing is like you can have a guy bat 150, but if he's got 2 runners on, as long as he gets his one hit every now and then, right then, I'm cool with that guy.
Right.
You have the Rookie of the Year. Gleyber Torres is back. Javi Baez will be back. Colt Keith is looking good. Dylan Dingler is an all-star. Like, Torque is very... Right? Yeah.
Dylan Dingler's
right?
good, but I don't think he's an
Keith
all-star.
hasn't hardly been playing.
He's been playing. Didn't he, like, 2 or 3 weeks ago have, like, right before the All-Star break, he had, like, 3 home runs in a night?
Yeah, he hasn't. I haven't seen him hardly at all since
He's been playing.
Since the All-Star break.
He's been playing. Maybe not since the All-Star break, but it's only been, like, a week. Week and a half.
I don't know.
Well,
I will say
week and a half
he
since they started
was
playing.
looking good at least.
He was, but that's what I'm saying. Is like counting that. You have Riley Green. Like the Tigers are in a way better spot than pessimistic fans are giving them credit for, and the American League is weak as hell right now. It's so bad. The American League is literally one of the worst I've ever seen the American League look in my life.
There's not many good teams in the American. It's kind of embarrassing, to be honest.
Do I think Detroit wins the division? Probably not. By the way, they just went up 3-2.
I think the White Sox win it.
James Outman just homered.
There we go. There we go.
Dylan Dingler, Kerry Carpenter score. Like Carpenter looks like he's been terrible, but he got a hit yesterday, so hopefully that turns him around. He was like 0 for what, 27? Something like that. Something terrible.
No way. 0 for 27?
It was like 0 for 20 something. 0 for 22, 0 for 27. It was bad for Kerry Carpenter.
Yeah, it was 0 for 27.
But we'll see. But we'll see because like the Guardians, the Twins are going to fall off. They're going to be mid-tier for the American League. Like the Tigers will pass the Twins. The Guardians are going to drop behind the Twins and the Tigers, I think, because J-Ran is like still out. Like that team's fine, but like they're not the same team without J-Ran. The White Sox, I don't know if you're going to take the division off the White Sox. The White Sox are kind of crazy. If push comes to shove, this Tigers team has shown before that 2 years ago that like under stress they can really succeed. Sorry, cat's trying to hang around my computer. So
I got a question for you. When you're done.
No. Go for it.
Are the Tigers the new Red Wings?
No, not at all. What do you mean by that, though? I guess
I feel like they're very hot and cold. but like they do the reverse Red Wings. They start out like pretty mediocre, pretty bad, and then they kind of get it together, and then some years they make the playoffs, and some years they just fall short. I mean, they won a playoff series a couple years ago,
They've
but they
won
never
playoff
like
series 2 years in a row with the wild
yeah,
cards.
yeah, but they
I would
never like
say
actually like could they actually contend with the Dodgers? Like, you know what I mean?
here's the thing you have to understand about baseball playoffs. Literally anything can happen in baseball playoffs. It's like hockey playoffs. If you make it, no holds barred. Like you could see the worst team in the regular season all of a sudden show up. And that happens in baseball. Honestly, nobody really gave the Blue Jays much of a chance last year in the play coming into the playoffs. And then they almost like beat the Dodgers in the World Series.
Right.
So
That's
um
fair.
they're not the same thing. Like 2 years ago, they started off cold, ended up hot, won the division. Last year they started off hot, ended up cold, lost the division. This year they started off cold. They'll get there. I still really think they're going to make the playoffs, regardless of Skubal being traded or not. I just don't think you trade him. I don't think you get rid of him. I think what you do is you really try to make a deal with him this season. Like Chris Illich, just pay him what he wanted. He is worth that
If
money.
if you don't trade him and he doesn't get paid, the alternative is he walks and we get nothing, correct?
Yeah, yes, but I don't think you're going to get much for him right now anyway.
So you think if you don't trade him, the Tigers need to pay him. That's their only option.
Okay,
Because
so
otherwise you're just big idiots who should have just traded. If you don't plan on paying him, you should trade him.
so there's three outcomes that can happen here. You trade him, you keep him, and you don't make the playoffs. You keep him, and you do make the playoffs. If you trade him, you're not going to get a ton back because your time to trade him was last offseason. He's a rental, right? You're not going to get a ton back for him because they only get him for the remainder of the season. They get him for what? 2 to 3 months after the deadline? Like, you're not going to get a ton back for that. If you keep him and you make the playoffs, you can go on a run with him. And with him and that pitching staff, and you can maybe do something. If you keep him and you don't make the playoffs, you say, you know what? We tried. We believed in Tarik Skubal. We wanted him. We gave him an offer, and he walked. Whatever. Like he didn't believe in us. But like people acting like they're gonna get something great off of a Tarik Skubal trade this close to the end of the season and to the end of his contract are absolutely insane and stupid. It's not gonna
Yeah,
happen. You might as
that
well.
actually doesn't make any sense because even if they traded for him, yeah, you're right. They might as well keep him because if they trade him, they're not going to get anything for him because the team who trades for him has to pay him at the end of the year.
The only team you can trade him to, well, they don't have to pay him. They can let him walk. Any team can let him walk at the end of the year, but any team can rent him for the rest of the year. Here's the thing: the only team that will trade for Tarik Skubal and maybe give the Tigers a ton with it and they'll win and they can keep him or whatever after is the Dodgers. Because the Dodgers have an insane farm system. Listen, the Dodgers have an insane farm system. They're already the favorite to win the World Series. The Dodgers also don't want Tarik Skubal going to a National League rival come playoff time. So if the Brewers are offering,
Nick,
the Dodgers will do their best to outbid them. And they'll
it's
outbid
sick
the
and
Brewers because the
tired.
Brewers ownership doesn't like want to spend money. The
Sick and
Dodgers are
tired
willing
about
to.
how sick of it, man. Sick and tired about hearing how good the Dodgers are. Sick of it.
That's
Baseball's
the
got to
thing, man.
change.
Like, no, baseball does not have to
That's the
change.
thing, man.
Sorry,
We have bigger
sorry.
pockets than you do. Blah, blah, blah.
These
Come
teams are
on,
owned
man.
by billionaires. We have a friend named with a certain long head of hair. That do you know what the net worth of the owner of the Reds is?
What is it?
400 million. And Connor, you'll like my argument when I give it
Why
to
would
you.
he put any of that money into the baseball?
The Reds
Why?
owner, the Reds net owner's net worth is 400 million. The Dodgers payroll in a single season exceeds his net worth. Now, some people would look at that as a problem with like other owners being able to spend more than players. I look at that as a problem that, like, why is that guy still on the team if he can't pay to compete? Sorry. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, the only team, like, dude, the only team the Tigers can trade him to that would actually give the Tigers players that they kind of need would be LA. And everybody hates to hear that because they don't want to see him go to LA, because then your LA pitching roster is Skubal, Yoshi, Roki. It'll be Snell come playoffs. Uh, Glasnow come playoffs. Like, it'll be crazy. Like, you'll have Hall of Famers being moved to the reliever spot in the playoffs. But, like, if I'm the Tigers, I go on a run here. I give him what he wants. I go on a run. I try to show him that, like, we believe in him and his ability to win and do what he can do. And, like, you just give him that chance. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Logan?
Honestly, I wouldn't mind letting him go. Now, I will say, because I've heard you talk about Skubal to the Dodgers before, Tony, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, I've heard what the Dodgers would possibly be willing to get for him. At this point in the season, that sort of trade package where it would be majority prospects is not what the Tigers need. If they are going to trade Skubal to the Dodgers, honestly, it better be for a guy like Andy Pajes. That's the kind of guy we need right now. A guy who can
But
consistently get
here's the
hits
thing.
and
It's
a guy
too late
who's
in the
a
season
good
to
outfielder.
it's too late in the season to trade for an everyday bat. It's too late in the season to trade to a contender like that for an everyday bat. The Dodgers won't trade Andy Pajes.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't make any sense.
also, it's too late in Scoople's contract to trade him to a crap team for
Dude,
a great bat, like a Wood and a Walker.
this
Like,
might be one
does
of the
that make
first
sense? They
times
shot themselves in
that
the foot with the Scooble stuff. You might as well just
this
keep
might
him and go on
be
a run.
this might be one of the first times I actually agree with Tony. I'm gonna write this on my calendar. This actually makes a lot of sense what you're saying. And I'm gonna spin it, Tony. I don't think the Tigers trade him. I don't think they pay him. I think the Tigers let him walk
They try to
because
go
they're
on a run with him.
100%.
At that point,
That
that's your best option
whatever
is the
this season
Tigers.
is, they're gonna do it, and they're gonna go ahead and they'll probably make the playoffs, and they might win a series. If we're lucky, they'll win two, right?
No,
But at the end of the
if the Tigers
year,
make the playoffs, they can go to the World Series.
yeah, because the American League is so terrible, and then they get blown out by LA. But at the end of the year, whether they win the World Series or not, I think Scuba walks. I don't think the Tigers pay him.
I could totally understand that, but, like, he has shown he wants to stay. I mean, he literally said to the media, he's like, "No, I want to be here. Don't trade me. I want to be here." Like, that's not just this season. Like, he wants to be on the Tigers with the Tigers. Chris Ilitch just needs to pay him. The billionaire needs
His
to pay the
his
money.
contract is so far away.
No, dude, it's not that. It's Chris Ilitch won't pay him because the Tigers are already in top 10 payroll, and Chris Ilitch wants a salary cap so he can make more money. That's what it is.
True. Because
That's what
baseball's
it
a
is.
business.
He
It'll
pays
always be a business.
he doesn't want to pay Scooble because then he's becoming a part of the problem that he's trying to say there is.
That's
It's
why
so stupid, dude.
I don't understand. Like
Here's my thing.
it,
Scubal's value relative to the rest of the Tigers team is declining. So I don't think he necessarily even should be paid the top bucks that like his agent is demanding. Right now, I'd put more stock in Troy Melton than Tarik Skubal.
Sure,
yeah,
young
he's
guy.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's gonna be our next ace. And I mean,
I
Tigers
also
have
easy
think
money.
never.
I also think you can hate me for this. Framber Valdez is going to get it together. Like Framber Valdez has just gone through a lot. I think what his grandmother just passed away recently, like right
Yeah.
before his start the other day, where he got blown up. Like he'll get it together.
The Tigers have never paid pitchers. Never. They've developed them and they've become really good. And at the end of the day, they just let them walk.
Well, yeah, they have. I mean, they paid Verlander his first time around with the Tigers.
Then he walked. Like Scherzer walked.
No, Verlander didn't walk. They traded him. So Verlander in 2017, the Tigers were like, "Wow, we're not the team we were 3 or 4 years ago. It's time for a rebuild." And they traded him, but he had a no trade clause that he had to waive, much like the Dylan Larkin situation. And he waived it for the Astros. And then he ended up winning the World Series. Say what you want about that World Series. They cheated. That doesn't count. Yada, yada, yada. But no, they paid him before he left. Like he was on a good contract. But they were smart about it too. They were like, oh, wow, this guy has committed a ton to us and we're not going to win. And he deserves a World Series ring. Let's trade him to a contending team. And, so that was the difference, because he would have stayed in Detroit to try and do something, but until the end of his contract. But like they were like, no, like let's just get you out of here now, you know.
I don't know. I do, before we have to sign off here, I do want to say my piece on LeBron as the
Oh my
NBA guy for
goodness.
this podcast. Listen, I'm so fed up with NBA sports media that like I'm gonna have to start blocking certain pages. Listen, man.
Dude,
Here's the thing: the main guy who used to be reporting on like trades and free agency signings and all this was Adrian Wojnarowski. Until a few years back when Shams, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, took over. Ever since then, downhill. This whole LeBron thing is exhibit A of that. If I have to read one more headline about LeBron still looking into going to like the Heat or the Sixers or the Cavaliers, I fucking know already. I've read it a million times at this point. Shams himself went on ESPN the other day. I saw this like a week ago. All he had to talk about was how LeBron was still seemingly interested in the 76ers among, these 3 or 4 other teams. I don't care. That is not news.
Let me know when he goes somewhere. Like, or at the beginning of the season, be like, at the beginning of the off season, be like, these are the teams he's interested in. We'll see where this goes. But
Right,
like
exactly.
that's like you just know the news cycle is like slow, is when they're reporting the same news over and over and over again.
Right,
did you
and
Um,
guys see
I think like a
more?
big part of it too, um, is not just the news reporting, but like also LeBron's, like agency team and like PR team dragging this out. His agent, Rich Paul, has come out multiple times now talking about these are the teams that LeBron is considering. But then also like let's not rush LeBron into a situation. But then also coming out of the news, maybe not necessarily from Rich Paul or even LeBron's camp, is reports that he already has a team picked out. So like what is it? What is it, man? I think
yeah.
LeBron just loves the attention.
It's
I hate LeBron.
Aaron
I hate
Rodgers
that guy so
2.0.
much.
It's Aaron Rodgers 2.0 before he went to the
Yes.
Jets.
Yes.
That's what it
Exactly.
is. Yeah.
Like,
And
okay,
did you guys see the media report about the schedule guy that was like, "Oh, LeBron better make a decision because I got to make the schedule for the games and we got to have LeBron play on Christmas." Like that was probably the dumbest report I've read all week, to be honest with
that's
you.
stupid.
This guy
Oh
was
my goodness.
complaining. He's like, "Well, the NBA schedule revolves around LeBron," and it's like, dude, like, no, just make the schedule whatever TV ends up on. Like, he ends up there. Playing on Christmas Day should not be part of the decision of where he goes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Back when LeBron made the decision to go from Cleveland to Miami, that was okay because at that point
That's
he
because of
was
how
like
epic
at like
that
the
presser
prime in
was.
his career. Yeah,
Yeah, what did he say when he was like, "I've decided to take my talents to Long Beach"? Like that was cool. Like that was awesome.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But like he is no longer at the talent level in his career that necessitates him dragging this out this much.
right.
Like it was
Yeah.
fine back then because we were all, willing to wait that long because it is a big deal. Nowadays, he's not nearly as talented. I mean, granted, he is still an all-star, but like you have other all-star. Look at Kawhi. Look at the Kawhi situation. That news kind of just came out of nowhere when he was going back to the Raptors. There was no, oh, where's Kawhi gonna go?
It's
Yeah.
because
Kawhi
nobody
Leonard is
cares.
on like the
Nobody
same
cares.
level of talent nowadays as LeBron. Why are we dragging
But,
this out?
but it's
Yeah.
LeBron James, Logan. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
LeBron
LeBron, dude.
James. The old fine.
Like
Yeah, dude, I hate it.
it's getting to a point where like all these rumors, you rumors when they've been existing for like multiple weeks at this point, they're overshadowing actual NBA news. Did you all hear about the recent Lou Dort trade to Atlanta that ended up sending a very recent first overall pick to the Dallas Mavericks? You may have, but it wasn't nearly as much in the headlines as LeBron still being narrowed down to the same four teams that he has been for the past damn month.
Yeah.
I'm
Logan's
Yeah.
crash
tired.
out. Logan's crash outs are hilarious to me, dude. He's been
Yeah,
quiet the
they're
whole
even
night,
they're
just
like, and
choking that
he's on the
in.
podcast, so he's forced to keep it together a little bit. When we were at the dorm, it was just the decibel levels were way louder, dude. Red in the
Yeah.
face, shaking head, like
It's actually hilarious.
they were violent.
He'd be
They're
pacing
mostly at
around.
me.
Man, oh man,
All right,
that's
boys, is
that's
that
all
about
I
time to
use.
call it?
The one thing I want to touch on, um, football is 7 weeks away, fellas. We're almost there.
Yes.
7 weeks away. Monday morning. Okay, Monday morning of next week. Tuesday, actually, sorry. The 28th is Kerby Joseph Day. Okay, I don't recall a player ever having these two outcomes, so I think it's necessary to at least throw out there. Dan Campbell came out and said Kerby Joseph is going to give it everything he's got. He's going to go out there in training camp day one, and we're going to see what happens. The two outcomes are he's fine, and the Lions get a huge W, and that's great news, or he never plays football again. So I have never, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think this has ever happened before. That everyone's just completely in the dark. We don't know if the cartilage in his knee is good enough to play. He's going to try on Tuesday. Reports will come out Wednesday. We'll see where it goes.
Honestly, I just hope Kerby Joseph does whatever is best for Kerby Joseph. If he
Yeah,
if he needs to retire early, then so be it. It sucks,
I
but
I would love to see him stay involved a little bit because like he knows what he's talking about at playing that position. Like I'd love to see him stay on and kind of help out whoever ends up playing safety, because I really think he could make them better players, like he did with Brian Branch when Brian Branch moved to safety. So, yeah, I don't know, dude.
It's just a bad situation. But
Yeah,
we were talking about it at work today. I think Kerby Joseph will never be the same player ever again. I think if we can get him at 80 to 85%, it's better than whoever we have on the roster. So we'll see where it goes.
At 80 to 85%, I still think he's better than most safeties in the league. Because he was already he was already maybe the best safety in the league before like that stuff was going on with his knee. Like by far was the best safety in the league. So, and it's like the thing to
let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
No. And to think
still exists.
Well, and to think what made him so good was not just his athletic ability; it was like the fact that he was so smart as a player. You know what I mean? Like
There was a
his
time.
his IQ at that position is very high.
There was a time where Kerby Joseph and Brian Branch were the best safety duo in the league.
Yeah.
I don't know if you traded out 1-for-1 Kerby Joseph and Kyle Hamilton, it's very, very similar. But Kerby Joseph and Brian Branch on the same field is the best safety duo in the league. If we can get them back, especially for playoff football, all of a sudden the Lions look okay because Rakestraw looks like he's healthy. Knock on wood, he's got injured every year, but he was a second-round draft pick, so who knows, right? All of a sudden, if Kerby Joseph's back in the middle of October, you should have Brian Branch, Kerby Joseph, Ennis Rakestraw, Rock Yzerman, and DJ Reed.
Wow, they know how to party in Detroit, huh?
Yeah, that would be great, dude.
Sorry, I had to play it.
It'd be really good if we had some guy named Terrion Arnold, but I won't go down that road.
Yeah, dude. I'm okay with losing Terrion. Terrion was just he couldn't do what a corner primarily needs to do, but oh my god, on those blitzes he was lethal. Like so, you know, like the only way you were going to make Terrion succeed was putting him on blitz only packages, but then you would, if he was on the field, you'd be telegraphing what you're doing on defense. So, you know,
but we'll see. But football is back. Fantasy football. I'm sure we'll be talking about it in the podcast coming up. 3 weeks from today is the first Lions preseason game, so that's pretty exciting.
I think it would be fun to do the draft for fantasy live on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
We don't have to have all 12 guys who play in our league on here, but it would be fun to have the board up and everything, and you know who's drafting who. I think that'd be a ton of fun.
Okay,
that'd be exciting. I'm down with that.
Cool.
All right. I gotta get
week. Oh, okay.
Oh,
you guys can stay on if you want. But athlete of the week.
Who's your athlete of the week?
I didn't come prepared. Let me think.
Okay, I got my guy if I can go.
Go ahead.
Sure, I think you're going to take my guy, but go.
I don't think so, honestly.
Okay.
Wilson Contreras.
Okay.
Big part of the recent Red Sox winning streak that they just had. 381 batting average over the month of July. Quite possibly the top contributor offensively for the Red Sox recently.
Do you have yours, Connor?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, go.
Ferran Torres scored the game-winning goal for Spain in the World Cup.
Okay, that's a good one. I've got little late because the home run derby was a little bit over a week ago. But Jordan Walker from the Cardinals, I've got him for athlete of the week after beating Kyle Schwarber in the finals for the home run derby. That was awesome, especially the way he did it was amazing. So,
yeah, but if I was in, I'd surely I would win. Just saying.
Surely, yeah.
Well, you'd be able to make contact then, yeah.
I played pretty good. I was the T-ball dude back in the day. All right, don't sleep on the T-ball. It's
Good
pretty
news
much the
before you
same
get off.
thing.
Tigers went up 4-3. So good
Let's
news.
go.
Woohoo! In the bottom of the 8th.
All right,
All right.
take it easy, guys.
All right, see you, buddy.
John. I think
And
we
then
could
there
just
was
wrap
the
it up
two
there.
handsomest guys.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. On behalf of Connor, we'll see you all next time.